Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to You Always Win. I'm Guns for Hire, and I'm going to be talking about what it's going to take to survive YouTube as a creator in 2019. Now, the first point that I want to get across here is that I've been doing YouTube for over 9 years full time. That's almost a decade. And in 9 years, you have inevitable change. Society changes. What's considered normal, what's considered okay, our morals, our ethics, everything changes dramatically from decade to decade. So the sheer size of YouTube kind of gives them an ethical responsibility to society. Yes, they're independent. They're not the United States of America, so your freedom of speech and your freedom of this, which I see all the time, doesn't apply here. You have the freedom to adhere and agree to their terms of service, or you don't. And if you don't, you can go elsewhere. This isn't a country, it's a third-party website. And when you use it, you have to agree to their terms of service. They have the right to change it at any time. You may not like it, but you can't really protest. It's either use it or don't use it. And personally, I don't always agree with every change that I see on there. And I don't agree with the direction that they're going. But again, that could be a reflection of my age and the grumpy, yo, kids and stuff like that. It happens, we all change. But the fact is that it's their rules. And you either adhere to them and adapt, or you perish. Now, you've probably heard a lot of your favorite YouTubers grumble. Maybe some of them don't, they're smart. They're just like, whatever, it is what it is. We can't do anything about it, which is probably a good thing to do. Although I'm just saying, sometimes you want to express, it's not always a bashing. We don't complain about the changes on YouTube because we hate YouTube. I, for one, absolutely love YouTube. It has changed my life in so many different ways. It just happens to recently be a little bit of a thorn in my butt, only because I don't know what the rules are. So it causes a bit of frustration. And that's kind of like what's happening with a lot of YouTubers. When you see them tweet, when you see them post social, whether it's a forum post somewhere, whether it's a video on YouTube itself or anywhere else, it's not necessarily that they're all hating on YouTube, it's that they're frustrated because we don't know what the rules are. But here's the thing. The rules are fairly straightforward, okay? We don't know exactly what the rules are, but we kind of do have an idea as to what constitutes demonetization. They keep giving us information. They say, if it's excessive violence, if it's racial, if it's inappropriate, if it has content that is highly inappropriate to youth, or any of the, clearly written guidelines, community guidelines, hate speech, all of that other stuff. And I've got no problem whatsoever when that stuff is demonetized. I understand because I also am a family man. I have young kids. They're not young anymore, but I've seen them grow, and they've grown up in the YouTube world. So I like the fact that YouTube is taking some sort of set of responsibility rules saying, this type of content probably shouldn't be viewed and isn't okay, regardless if you're young or not. Yes, it's YouTube. You want to be able to express yourself and talk about news and everything like that, but you don't have the right to do anything. You have the right to follow their terms of service or don't. If they don't want certain speech on there, if they don't want hate speech, if they don't want, white supremacy videos on there, then that's their prerogative and you have no say in it. That's the type of site that they want to make. If you created a website and you said, I don't want haters on here, I don't want people that are, are going to be saying racial slurs and everything, you have the right to do so. So, I get that, and I know the frustration, people seem to sort of confuse it with their freedom, the freedom of speech and all this other stuff. It's a website. It is not, as I said, the United States of America. It is a company founded in there, and you can see a lot of those values reflected on the platform, but they are subjected to their terms of service. That's it. They write them, you follow them, or leave. I think the easiest way to go forward in 2019, if you haven't started making adjustments yet, if you really truly want to succeed and you don't want to go, oh, whatever, I'll do whatever I want. If you have the I'll do whatever I want attitude, you may or may not make it. But if you don't make it and you're getting pounded because you're not willing to follow the rules, it is completely 100% your own doing and no one else's fault. You need to take responsibility for that and say, yeah, you know what, I stuck to my guns, whatever, not this guns. You stuck to your guns and those were the consequences and you're fine with it. Do not whine, do not complain if you go against them, knowing what they are, knowing what the kind of the rough idea and where the direction of this website is going. You're not a victim here. You can't play the victim here if you're knowingly abusing their rules and terms of service. So here it is, a very simple way to go forward. Don't spread rumors. Don't gossip, don't bash on, don't create an audience that's gonna go over and start hating on other people. Keep the content relatively light. Try and stay away from, here's the problem though, where does fake news begin and rumors? You know, a lot of times we got video game. I do news based on rumors as well, but again, we're hoping that those rumors are somewhat founded in actual information. You know what I mean? Sort of the saying that I like to say, in the absence of evidence to the contrary. If we trust the source, then those rumors sometimes have truth. And we're saying it because, like, hey, listen, this person usually gets it right. These are the rumors. It's a little different than spreading sort of hateful rumors, you know, politically, religiously, or anything like that. That kind of crosses the threshold. So there's a little fine line there, but I don't think it's really that hard to find the difference between that type of fake news that is detrimental and can be very harmful to people versus rumors of, say, video games. Another issue with all these changes with YouTube and people saying, oh, you're not being transparent, you're not giving us the rules, we don't know the rules, we don't know what to do and what not to do. I understand why they would be reluctant to also share that information. There's a good reason, you know, people like myself and Meatwagon here on You Always Win, we want to know the rules so that we could adhere to them, so we don't violate them, so that we are sort of in agreement with YouTube, that we can go with the flow, that we provide content that YouTube is looking for and wants to have on this platform. That's all we want to do. But there are a huge number of YouTubers or people in general that will always look for rules to bend them. They want to know the rules, you know, concrete or not. They want to know the rules so that they can kind of get into that gray area. So they can continue to produce the content that YouTube does not want on this platform by bending the rules, by avoiding those areas that will trigger demonetization while still providing this unethical or, you know, lacking moral type of content. You know what I mean? Like, they have to be careful on what they actually say. Here's the rules, this is what will trigger it, and here's what will not trigger it. Because you know as well as I do, there are a lot of douchebags out there that will just use those rules to manipulate the system, to sort of push their content forward in an illegitimate way. So I understand also why they're kind of like, oh no, we don't really know the rules. Even if they kind of quasi do, you know, I'm not okay with lies and that sort of stuff there. And I'm not saying that YouTube is lying, but I understand why they would withhold certain critical information. You give people information like that, they are going to abuse it. So for us and for you going forward, if you want to sort of survive in 2019, think of morals and ethics. Think of more being positive society, contributing something that's funny, entertaining, that doesn't necessarily offend a huge amount of people. If you do that, there's a good chance that YouTube's not gonna like it. The system may not be there, it may not be catching you yet, but it's learning, and my understanding is it's learning, and eventually that content, you're gonna be targeted. And again, you have no one else to blame but yourself. Look to be a positive influence on there. Create, entertain people, but in a positive way. Make them laugh, entertain them, show them some wow stuff. But don't do it at the expense of other people's happiness, at other people's rights, and just causing and spreading hate and anger. Because if you do that, I don't want to see you on here either. Try and stay away from using excessive profanity. I know it's, you know, you're young, a lot of young people are like effing this and F that, but if you get demonetized because you're using excessively harsh language, bad language, or whatever, you know, profanities, that's your own doing. It's not necessarily that it happens all the time, but excessive use, which is clearly stipulated in the Terms of Service Community Guidelines, it can lead to demonetization. You don't get to cry foul or say this is not fair when you knowingly are doing it. It's not hard to not swear. You think that I don't swear in real life? You don't think that, you know, obviously not around my kids and stuff like that, but you don't think that I drop the F-bomb once in a while? Of course I do. I'm a grown adult. I'm not this saint, but I'm aware of the rules on YouTube. And because this is my job, because this is a business to me, I try to adhere to those rules. If I violate them, which we do sometimes here on You Always Win with our video games, zombies, and excessive violence, we get demonetized. We can't really say, oh, this is what's going on. We know kind of what's going on. We get it. It's video games. It's frustrating that they never did this before and now they're doing it. But times are changing. That's it. It's, you know, they don't like the violence. And that's really what's happening here. I'll give you specifics. The only demonetized videos that we've ever had on here are Left 4 Dead 2, which is why you don't see them anymore, and more recently 7 Days to Die. We do get periodic ones on even Call of Duty Custom Zombies, but they're not as frequent for whatever reason as Left 4 Dead, which is why we've had to abandon that. We adhere to the rules, but we don't know strictly that that is the rule. All we do is we see, okay, this is how many Left 4 Dead videos have been demonetized versus this many versus this many. Let's just cut those out. You know, we don't have clear-cut rules. They don't say to us, this is why, this was the exact reason why we demonetize. We have to try and figure this out with the information we have. And based on that, that's why we make changes here on the channel as well. Essentially, YouTube is changing to a more ethically, morally responsible, whether you agree with it or not. In their mind, they are trying to be ethically and morally responsible, a reflection of the changes in society. And although, you know, it's frustrating because we made our living here based on a certain set of rules and now they've changed, that's life. You know, many things change, you just have to get with it. I know I've said it before, but it's true, and it's always true, the adapt or perish sort of mentality. We have to change with it. We have to change, or we might as well just stop making videos.